Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Tech Talks Evolving Distribution. Before we jump in today, we want to quickly shout out our sponsor, Aldrich Web Solutions. If you're a distributor trying to get more out of your digital presence, these are the guys that have been helping companies actually win online for over 20 years.
So we're excited to have you today on today's episode. This is a show where we break down how distribution is actually evolving. What's working, what's not, what you should be paying attention to. Anywhere from ERP to e-commerce, we're talking to the people in the trenches doing the work.
That's right. We have conversations with distributors, we have conversations with solution partners, and we have conversations with industry experts just like yourself, so you're sure to gain some value out of this conversation. So without further ado, let the Tech Talk begin. Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of Tech Talks Evolving Distribution. Your host, Corey Hayes, alongside Bill Rosado. As always, Bill, how are you doing today, my friend? Well, he's immediately frozen, so not doing very well, I see. Yeah, it's okay. Bill's having a little bit of technical issues today, so if he comes in and out, don't hold it against him. He's just listen, y'all. It's just another old man trying to figure it out. Okay, so I'm sorry, Bill. I'm just messing with you. Hopefully, Bill comes along for the ride. But anyways, we'll pivot. Andrew Kahn is with us today, over from Keystone Brothers. Andrew, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Corey?
I'm doing good. I'm glad that your internet's working. That's all I can say.
So far, so good.
Yeah, it's funny. A little while ago, I had it in we recorded an episode with Tom Noble. He's a CEO of a company called Tribute, and Bill was unable to make it kind of at the last second. And I told Tom, I said, I think I need to do this without Bill more often. So maybe this is just my prayers being answered. Maybe that's what's happening right now.
The sign.
Oh, man. All right. Well, super excited to be talking with you today. As I mentioned before we started recording, this is something that we've been wanting to do. We've been wanting to have you on for a while, but we know that you've been in the middle of an e-commerce implementation along with just, everyday life and work. So glad that you're finally able to come on and be present with us. Super excited to have you on. Why don't you take just a minute? Tell the listener a little bit about Keystone. Tell us about your role, what it is that you do, and just what has got you to where you are today.
Yeah, sure, Corey. Yeah, so I'll talk about Keystone. I'll talk about how I came to Keystone. But so Keystone Brothers is it's the largest upholstery fabric and upholstery supply distributor in the United States. So Keystone was founded in 1868, so we're almost to that 160-year mark, and so that's a huge, that's a huge accomplishment. We were started during the gold rush in San Francisco, and started selling whips and lashes, and so that's cool. Evolved then into leather riding goods. So think the old horse and buggies during that time. And so we started with whips and lashes. We evolved into leather riding goods, and then ultimately got into the interior supplies of the buggies. And then that newfangled thing called the automobile came out, and I think probably the leadership at Keystone at that time said, we ought to get into that thing since it's getting into our horse and buggy market. And so started supplying interior and roof cover components for cars, and evolved, and eventually the automotive business just took off as we would expect it to. And it was actually the late 90s we finally shut down the leather goods division. So there's still a whole lot of Keystone harnesses and saddles out there in the world that we see. We still get a lot of inquiries on that. there's collector's items sometimes we'll come across where, Keystone baseball gloves and Keystone toys from the 60s. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So
that is pretty cool.
Yeah, so the current ownership, it's a family-owned business. The current ownership bought it 25 years ago, and so we've has really grown Keystone into the premier upholstery supplier in the country. So we have 18 locations across the United States, and so we love what we do. So my role with Keystone is Vice President of Integrated Operations and Logistics. And so I directly oversee our central distribution center, our corporate logistics, our manufacturing division, and alternative sales channels like our e-commerce and and also selling other distributors. And then I've got my hands into lots of other different areas of the business.
Yeah.
So I came to Keystone through an acquisition back in 2019. I actually owned a company. We were a company that did the same thing. We were an upholstery fabric supplier and distribution company based out of Chicago, and had 4 locations in the Midwest. And so our real strong area of the country was the Midwest, and that was Keystone's weak area. So it was a great synergy. Yeah. So prior to that, I was in sales in the upholstery industry, and really my first career before all of that was, and I went to school for, I was a network engineer and IT consultant. So,
jeez, man, you're just everywhere. You're all across the board.
I've been everywhere. So I did that for 8 years. I didn't want anything to do. I'm second generation in the upholstery distribution business. So I wanted nothing to do with that. So my first career was IT, and I loved it. And then finally got pulled in, and it's been great though, because I've been able to use that background and experience both for my company and then also for Keystone. So it's been a great ride.
That's awesome. Yeah, you were going into like collector's items, and it's funny because as you were saying that, I was already kind of thinking about, man, I wonder if they've got like a saddle out there that like John Wayne has sat in or something like that. Like that would be pretty wild. You can think about, I mean, really, like, and this is totally off topic, but the line of work that you're in, think about like all of the potentially amazing, awesome people in the world that you guys have, like somebody sat on your chair or like somebody sat in your on one of your products, like,
yeah, it's wild to hear stories about, we'll get emails out of the blue from people that, like, hey, I had a saddle from the 1960s that I came across, and what information can you give me? And I mean, it's wild. And then on the fabric side, we hear stories. I mean, I know at one point we had some material go into a special project at the White House.
Wow, so, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool
stuff. Yeah, we love to hear the stories.
Yeah, that's great.
Corey, I'm shocked that you didn't ask about a baseball glove that
well, I was gonna say I'm a big baseball guy, Andrew. So I was gonna say, what's it gonna take for me to get? I actually started Googling while you were saying that. Keystone baseball gloves, and then I was like, I better stop. I probably need to stay in the moment. Like, just keep.
We actually have one here on site that one of our guys found on eBay, and I think our corporate office has one as well that somebody, again, same thing, somebody found it on eBay. And, so we try to collect that stuff too, even though it's our own company.
Yeah, man, that's interesting. I'm gonna try to see if I can come up with one. I'm an avid baseball sports memorabilia collector, and so like that would be really, really cool to just have a part of my little collection. So, well, we're not here to talk about baseball. I mean, if we were, I might like this podcast a little bit better, but no.
See, that's our other podcast.
Yeah, that's our other podcast. Yeah, baseball.
Fun, right?
Yeah, when we started this podcast and we told people, yeah, Bill and I are starting a podcast, everybody's like, what are you going to talk about? I said, ghosts and conspiracy theories. Like, what else do you think we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about distribution. Come on. No, it's really great to have you here today, and thank you so much for walking us through your experience, which I think just kind of segues perfect to the questions we're going to ask you, and really what you contribute to the conversation. So why don't we just go ahead and get into it? So first question, what is one thing that distributors believe about technology that, in your opinion, is just completely wrong?
Oh, man, there's quite a few. I mean, the biggest one, and I've seen several things, but one of the biggest things I think is the set it and forget it mentality. So, hey, we made that investment, it's there, it's good, we built it, let's just leave it. Let's use it, right? So, I think that's really that can really hurt you, right? Because
Yeah.
it's always an evolution. It's always, okay, we've done this, now what, right? So I think that, that's something that distributors get wrong. Another big thing, and I think this stems from a lot of bad experiences out there, but that technology is a bottomless pit of money, and we just keep throwing money at it, and it doesn't seem to improve the business. They say throwing good money at bad. And absolutely that stuff happens. I don't know that if you do it correctly, that's the case, but certainly, I've seen that happen a lot over the years, both of those two things. And another big thing I think distributors get wrong is that, especially on the enterprise level, thinking that either you have to tailor a solution to your business, or vice versa, that a one size fits all will work. Usually it's somewhere in between. I mean, maybe in this situation, a one size fits all would work, and you just have to adjust some of how you're doing business. In other cases, yeah, you might need to make a few modifications to a system, but there's a give and take there. So I think, some people go into technology thinking we have to bend this and twist this technology to make it work how we want it to work, when really that's only looking at one side of the coin. Maybe we adjust how we're doing business, or adjust one of the processes that we have to be able to to work with this technology.
Yeah, I think that that's such a key. And honestly, I kind of was thinking while you're going through that, I was thinking about really your intro and how Keystone has found success. It's an evolution. It's an adaptation to where the market is. And I think that I think you're 100% right. Some people think, well, we purchased the technology, now we have a tech stack, and that's not really how it works. Like it's a matter of living and breathing what is taking place in the technological world, and then really finding the niches that work for you, finding some that you don't, and understanding that sometimes you're gonna go down the wrong path, but you're back up, and now we find the right path. We're gonna make mistakes along the way, which is part of evolution. I don't know anybody who hasn't made mistakes. And here's what I take from your saying, Andrew, is don't be so afraid and so cautious that you just sit and do nothing, because that's not going to get you anywhere. That's just as bad, if not worse, than sitting it and forgetting it. Don't get so somebody said on one of our shows, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Like, don't sit in a spot where you're just waiting for absolutely everything to be perfect, and you're so careful and pretentious about every little detail that you just do nothing. Just get in and adopt and evolve along the way. I think that's a really powerful thing.
Yeah, yeah. I've always had a saying, and I think this is some of what separates successful distributors from those that struggle. My saying, and this is what I went into when I bought my company, what I went into it saying, and I tried to impart this thinking upon my entire team, and I still do. And that is, if you're not changing, you're dying.
Yeah.
It's a pretty powerful thing to think about. If the company is not changing, it's dying.
One thing too, I think, kind of what you said. I think when you add technology and new things to your business, you find that sometimes you have broken processes, right? And you got to change those broken processes, right, in order to succeed. So it wouldn't do you any good to say, hey, we're just not going to use it because it doesn't fit this process, when this process actually isn't working to efficiency, right, into what you want it to do.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes, I mean, it's the implementation of new technology, once you get to that point, we've even found in some cases that you find broken processes you didn't even know were broken.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to navigate the proverbial, how do I do this? You go, well, how have you done this? Okay, you're doing this, then this, then this, then this. Why are you doing it that way? And usually the person doing it goes, I don't know. That's just how I was trained. And
that's how we've always done it. Yeah.
It's how we've always done it. And so those are, the it's how we've always done it is really kind of a bad word or a bad phrase in our company. And I've always looked at that and go, oh my gosh, I just shake my head to it. And okay, well, let's fix this. So there's nothing or very little within a business that I think should be set in stone.
Yeah. No, that's great. Well, we may be stomping all over what you might say here. I don't know, but what in your opinion separates distributors that succeed with technology from those that struggle?
Yeah, well, I already sort of jumped ahead when I said if you're not changing, you're dying, right? But that's a very real thing, and we see that permeate throughout our industry so much. I think that's been one of Keystone's secrets to success, is that Keystone is constantly evolving. We have a lot of competition out there that is not, and they have not changed in 30, 40, 50 years. And then, especially in my role, I work with a lot of these guys and work with other distributors, and they're competitors, but they're also distributors that sell our products. I work with a lot of them, and they just scratch their head and go, I just don't understand why business is just, falling off. And it's like, well, it's that evolution. You have to really kind of work towards what's the next thing. And, I think that's a challenge. We see it in our customer base too. And to some degree, we see it with our vendors as well, because this is just, I always joke, I went from IT to the upholstery industry, which is like going from the fastest moving industry in the world to the slowest moving industry in the world.
That's funny.
So, it's wild. But I think, to really build on all of that, one more thing that separates successful distributors from those that struggle are an open mind to change versus resistance to change. And, you see that, not just at the ownership and C-level positions, but you also see it all the way, to the entry level positions. And I think, taking an approach with how can we streamline the business using technology versus, again, like we just said, this is the way we've always done things. So, there's always a better way to do it. And I think just shifting that mindset is a huge deal.
Well, I would say success is 160 years or almost 160 years in business, that you guys have created the culture to not say we've always done it this way. And to go ahead and take those challenges, and make changes, because you've adapted and you've had to, right? So for someone to come to you and go, man, we just don't know, things are just kind of tailing off, and you're like, really? Look at what we've done for 150 plus years, right? We've seen where something's tailing off, and we move forward with something that wasn't. So kudos to you guys.
We stopped panning for gold a while back ago. That's all I know.
Right? Well,
we went and found it.
It's tough because, as much as we have evolved over the years, it's still tough, because I think probably more so than with, younger companies. And I say that, at 160 years old, almost every company's younger. But when I say a younger company, I'm talking, a 5-year-old company, a 10-year-old company. It's tough because we've got all that legacy that we're carrying around with us, that it is very easy to say, well, we've always done it this way, because we've got, one thing that's awesome about Keystone is we've got some very long tenured team members across our company. I think, we've got some in the 40 to 45 year range, which is really cool. But it's a double-edged sword with evolution at the same time. So, I think a lot of hesitancy, especially throughout, not just at Keystone, but anywhere, I think throughout the ranks with technology, is really stems, in my opinion, has always stemmed from poorly managed projects. And it's just so painful doing these, evolutionary implementations where, hey, we got a new computer system and it was so painful. And you just always hear these um, painful projects over the years. And that's why they're like, nope, we're never doing anything again.
Yeah.
And so I think that's always that's a big challenge that I think distributors have struggled with over the years. And
So before Bill sets you up for this next question, I kind of want to throw you maybe a little bit of a curveball that you
Sure.
may not have been prepared for. So when you were given the title, your title at Keystone, I'm probably going to butcher it, but it sounded like you were overseeing the integrating processes that are pulling together your ERP and bringing that data to a go-to-market strategy. When you consider the evolution, maybe not necessarily of Keystone overall, but how you guys have approached integration and the importance of good integration, is there anything that specifically stands out? Because here's why I'm asking the question. Because A, there are distributors out there that just don't see the importance of a good integrated, solution to bring good data forward. And then B, to your point, what you just said, there's people that have bad experiences and just forget it and just stop looking and say, well, everybody's bad. Every integration provider is bad. What has been important for you in your role to really find good, trusted partners that have tight integrations, and what has that done for you?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I think over the years at Keystone especially, and I've seen it in past lives as well, but we've had great integrations and we've had terrible integrations. And the biggest takeaway, and it's just like with anything in business, you walk out of a bad situation and you have to look back and say, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? And then adjust from there. And it's very easy just to throw up your arms, especially at a C level or ownership level. It's easy to throw up your arms and say, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
But, really, maybe in the short term, it's a great decision, but long term, again, if you're not changing, you're dying. So,
Yep.
Long term, saying that and hopefully readjusting, looking back, say what went wrong, what went right, what are we going to do different, and learn from that experience. Even if it's a good experience. I mean, I've looked back at very good implementations that we've had with zero downtime and so forth, and say, okay, well, what did we get right on that? And what would we do differently next time? Because even if it's good, that doesn't mean it couldn't be better, right? So hopefully that kind of answers it, Corey.
Yeah. No, I just think it's such and maybe it's a little bit of a buzzword in our industry, like integration, but it's such a controversial topic. When it comes to integrated solutions, people either love it or they hate it. It's either the worst or it's the best. So I guess I want to understand, from distributors, why it's such a emotionally swinging thing, and what you guys are looking for. So no, I think that's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, and just even from my IT days, there are a lot of painful situations that I've seen companies go through that, I wouldn't ever want to do it again if I were in their shoes. And I think a lot of it stems, it's easy to point the finger at the integrator and the third party that you're using. It's very easy to point the finger at them, but I think it goes both ways as well. I mean,
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not helping them help you, then you're going to probably set yourself up for failure.
All right, so here's a great question. What do you think is a popular trend that is overhyped right now?
Oh, that to me, that's an easy answer. I think right now, AI, everything's AI. And you guys probably hear that from everybody now. Anybody who asks that question, I think AI. I mean, I think AI is, to shift the conversation. AI, I don't think is an overhyped solution. I think it is a tool. And if you look at AI as just another tool in the arsenal, I think it's awesome. It is not one of the biggest misconceptions that I hear both from leadership inside and outside of our company, and also from integrators, from Any company that is trying to sell anything in the IT space or in any other space, they're just wrapping AI around it, and it sounds cool. And I'm sure, especially from the IT side, that's going to get investors excited, right? From the customer side, it might get customers excited. And in most cases, customers probably don't even understand what it means because it's just a cool buzzword. But it's absolutely a valuable tool. And I think as more companies learn to use it as a tool, not the tool, I think it's going to be very valuable. But right now, I think it's absolutely overhyped.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, and I'm inclined to agree with you. I like the way that you frame it, that it's another tool, not a solution. Because I right now that's just where our world is. It feels like everybody's looking for the cheap, quickest, fastest solution, instead of actually approaching the solution with the right tools and using the tools in place to create a more permanent solution. And I think when I hear AI and see what AI is providing, I think that's where I struggle with is its permanence in our solution stack. Like all the solutions that we're providing, is it really a permanent solution, or is it going to be just so ever changing and so volatile that we lose pace? I don't know. I'm kind of thinking out loud here. You know what I mean? Like, do we lose pace with it? Do we get lost behind? Like, because you think about when AI first came out, it's completely different now than what it was 5 years ago. It's completely different now than what it was a year ago. And so to focus it more as a tool to help you guide what your solution should be doing, I think is really a great way of framing that, other than just saying, hey, this is our solution.
Yeah, I think for one of the biggest bits of advice that I could pass along in regards to AI is it takes me back to when I first, my first career, when I first got into this out of college. And, at that time, that was when the internet was just really starting to come up, and networking, the internet. And I'd walk into these businesses and they'd go, I want to be on the internet. Okay. What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Well, I just want to be on the internet. Okay. Well, what do you mean? You want a website? Do you want what kind of website do you want? Do you just want to be able to get on the internet and Google things, or at that time, Yahoo, right? And
I want to surf. I want to surf the web.
yeah, want to surf the World Wide Web.
Yeah.
Right? And so that was really, they just knew that they had to be on the internet, but they didn't even know what it means. And I see the same trend happening with AI, where a business owner, a principal, or C-level exec is looking at this going, well, we need AI. Well, okay, for what? Well, we need AI. I don't know. We just need AI. AI is going to streamline things. Okay, well, what do you need AI to do? And that's the thing. And so that's really where I want to shift that thinking is, AI is a great tool. It's not the solution for everything, just like you're not going to use a hammer when you need a screwdriver, but it's definitely valuable when you need it, for sure.
And used the right way. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So what does the average distributor underestimate when they begin implementing new technology?
Yeah, so that's a great question. That one really
it was made by AI. No, I'm just playing.
No, that one gets me thinking. I think determining how much time and energy a solution will end up saving you or the company, it's sort of a double-edged sword, because then that brings up the ROI question and determining what that true ROI is, right? Sometimes a simple solution has the biggest impact. And I mean, I've, a story I enjoy telling was, I was probably 3 months into Keystone, and I'm looking through the ERP and, the pricing, the pricing system for customers. If we wanted to quote the customer a price, customer calls in, they're on the phone and they're asking for their price. To get one price, it was on one screen, but to get volume breaks, it was on a completely different screen. And so I'm looking at that going, what if it was just on one screen? It would save so much time, because they're having to click here, click there, and do all these different things. And I'm going, that can't be that difficult. I can't believe this ERP is written in such a way. And we were able to, with a little bit of research and a little bit of trying to figure it out, we actually got it all on one screen. And I mean, the impact was just huge. Everyone's going, oh my God, this is awesome. How come we never had this before? And it's such a little thing. It cost us nothing to do, but a little bit of time, and boom, it was, the impact was massive. And so, on the other hand, I mean, I've seen multi-million-dollar implementations and integrations, and, they throw all this money at this, mega solution that's supposed to be the end all be all, and then nothing pans out. And so I think really understanding what that true ROI is going to be is one of the biggest things I've seen distributors underestimate when beginning a new solution. I think this is more of a recent thing I've seen, and we were able to do this with some of the newer softwares that we've implemented, but being able to incrementally jump into the new solution, you buy a solution based on X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Well, let's just jump into X and start realizing some of that ROI today, and then build upon Y, and then, gradually build. Yeah. And so that's a big one that we just saw that, we've been working on that now. We're 2 years into a new phone system solution, and we're still rolling new features out that were there all along. It's just, let's turn this on this month, so I think those are some big things.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a great conversation and a lot of insight. But what's that one piece of advice, that the thing that you put on the back of a Keystone shirt, right? You got the bison up front, and then on the back, what's that one piece of advice that you give someone going into digital transformation, Andrew?
Yeah. So one of the sayings that I love, and I didn't coin it, but the president of our company did a couple years ago, and he said, "What got us here won't get us there."
Huh.
And I love that, because it's just so impactful, and it really, maybe it's a different way of saying what I said earlier. My old mantra of, if you're not evolving and changing, you're dying. But what got us here won't get us there. And I think, that's absolutely what we would put on the back of a shirt.
Corey's writing that down as we speak.
I am. Yeah, sorry, I can't talk and write at the same time. I'm a man. I can't multitask. No, I honestly think, Andrew, that's probably my favorite one that I've heard so far, because I think this question is kind of built to allow somebody to give that one little snappy, stick with you saying, right? And I think that might be my favorite one that I've heard so far. That's great. That's great. That it just works in a few ways, and I feel like I'm kind of like tying everything back to where we began. I think that kind of mindset, mentality, whatever you want to call it, that Keystone has is a testament as to why you guys have been so successful for so long. 160 years is no joke. But I cannot tell you how many times I've heard, and I'm sure you've heard as well, this is how we've always done it, so this is the way we're going to keep doing it. And I do understand the sentiment. And I think in terms of customer service, and I think in terms of the care that we provide customers, yes. How we care for people, how we pay attention to people, how we've always done that is how we should always do it. Is going to be vastly different. And what got you here is not going to get you there. I mean, that's great. That's great. I'm gonna use that. I don't know what his name is, but I'm gonna use that and credit it to Keystone President.
Yes,
Anytime we talk
Mike
at any like
Hendricks.
trade shows or anything.
Yes, Mike Hendricks.
Okay, all right.
He is our new president. So
That's awesome. Yeah, well, you're gonna have to tell him that he just titled the Tech Talks episode.
Yes, I love it. Yes, great saying. But
Yeah,
there's other advice too. Like, don't be afraid to turn off or pull the plug on a solution that isn't working. I mean, it's scary to hear that, right? And it's scary. It's even scarier to do it. But a good example, I think I just read on. I saw this when it first came out, and it was, I don't know if you guys had heard of Kroger was implementing it down in Florida. It was like $1 billion+ investment that they built out this fully automated warehouse that picked and packed, and it was like completely robotic. I mean, it was like crazy money. And I just read maybe 2 months ago, they pulled the plug on it. They just completely $1 billion+ loss. They just pulled the plug on it, said it's not working, we're done. And yeah, it blew my mind when I read that. But I mean, if it doesn't work, don't be afraid.
Yeah. And I think some people just get so emotionally attached to their investments that they're just unwilling to, hinge on that. But investments already take so much of your money. Don't put your emotions into them too,
Right.
Yeah, no, that's great. Andrew, you've given us so much to just go off of, and really I appreciate your time, appreciate your expertise. Cannot wait for my Keystone ball glove to come in. I just ordered one on eBay. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll autograph it for you.
Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh.
I don't know that my autograph's worth anything, but
it's cool. It's worth the sentiment, like that would be cool. I'm gonna have to find one, and that's great. No, we really appreciate you having on. We really enjoy working with Keystone Brothers. You guys have been great since day one, and just really thankful that you took the time to be on the podcast today. Bill, any other questions, comments, concerns you want to take us home with?
Well, just a comment, right? This is an episode that people should share, right? There's plenty of people in distribution that need to hear this information, and we really appreciate your insight, Andrew. And thanks for doing what you do for the community, right? This just really helps the distribution community.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. You guys have been awesome to work with as well, and I really enjoyed our conversation.
Awesome. Well, everybody, have a great rest of your day. Thank you for tuning in, listening. Remember, we have new episodes of Tech Talks coming out at the first and the third Thursday of every month. We're also on LinkedIn. Be sure to check us out there. We're posting to YouTube, posting to Spotify, and we're posting to Apple Podcasts. So be sure to check out the next episodes that are coming out. Andrew, Bill, thank you guys. Have a great rest of your night.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Tech Talks Evolving Distribution. Thanks for tuning in.
And we hope you've gained some valuable insights on how to embrace digital transformation and stay ahead in the distribution industry.
A special thanks to our sponsor, Aldrich Web Solutions, for supporting this podcast. With over 20 years of experience, they've been helping distributors win online and maximize their digital presence. Be sure to check them out if you're ready to take your business to the next level.
And if you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. And of course, share this with anyone who could benefit from this conversation.
We'll be back next time with more expert insights. And until then, keep evolving and embracing change.